Our next speaker is Ms. Sheldon Shewa, having 16 years experience in one of the leading providers of comprehensive logistics and transportation solutions, Armex, currently holding the position of a Global Supply Chain Director. Ms. Sheldon Shewa will be sharing with us a presentation about disruption of supply chain.
Hello everyone, glad to be talking to you today. We heard so far about what technologies are doing to the pharma industry and to the GSM industry. And I will share with you what these technologies are doing to the supply chain industry from the perspective of the logistics company. Just a small word about Aramex. Aramex is, for those of you who don't know it, because I realize a lot of people are coming from outside Jordan. Aramex is a logistics company established in 1952. We are in the international express business. هيك أحسن قربت هذا. We're in the international express business, freight business, air freight, sea freight, land freight, and in supply chain and warehouse. So the world today is a different place. There's actually officially more mobile devices than people. What these technologies and mobile have done, they have transformed the way we run our day-to-day life. So today everybody has a mobile. We pay online, we buy things through our mobile, we find a restaurant, we pay a cab, everything. So these same technologies that are affecting our day-to-day lives have found their way, have come to the organization and to the corporate life. And they are, in the same way, changing the way we do business. And basically, the supply chain is becoming more and more digital, just like our lives are becoming more and more digital. Just a word about this digitization. Really, we shouldn't look at it as something that happens in the IT field. So it's not getting a new hardware or software and installing it. It's more of a business step. So we look at these digital technologies and we think how we can take these technologies to transform the way we do business. We're basically reimagining the way we do business. This is how it works. Companies have realized that and are on board of these trends, have already started realizing benefit and value in terms of revenue creation, market valuation, and impact on the economy. We call these companies digitally fluent, so they don't have really to master these technologies, but they have to know how to articulate and use these technologies to for the future of their organizations, to reimagine how they are doing work. And I'm going to share with you some examples of what we are doing and how we are using these technologies to change the way we are doing our regular service. Just take a moment to look at this slide. And I think the first impression we think science fiction, but actually it's not, or not anymore. These things are happening and they have started. We're not waiting for them, they are there. I'll give you some examples. Robotics. Today, Amazon has 30,000 robots that look like this in their warehouses, in their logistics centers. The industry for logistics robotics is expected to grow to 31 billion by 2020. 2020 is not too far from today. So these things are here. AI, artificial intelligence. Today you can go to Amazon and buy Amazon Echo. You know it. It's your personal AI assistant sitting at home. You just ask it to do things for you, buy things, pay your bills, whatever. And the number of interconnected devices is increasing and it's increasing exponentially. So we're going to see more and more of these. You don't have to imagine artificial intelligence as this one. So it's just a device like this that can do things for you. I go also over these drones. I don't know why when we think of drones, we think maybe a toy, like these airplanes that kids fly. But actually today, there are drones who can carry packages up to 250 kilograms and fly for over 300 miles. So will this impact the modes of transport we have today? I think with these numbers, 400 million electrical packages to be delivered by drones per year. This is today. And a market valuation of 5.6 billion by 2020. We could see changes in the modes of transport. So you can imagine a logistics company having a fleet of cars, a fleet of trucks, and a fleet of drones. 3D printing, another trend. Basically now we are printing tools on space, in the space. I don't know if you heard, we have a 3D printing hub in Dubai today. So you can basically print anything that is in the lab today. I think one of the first industries that will be disrupted by 3D printing would be the supply chain. In a traditional model, we used to manufacture in one country and then ship to another country, do fulfillment in a fulfillment center, sell to a wholesaler, retailer, and transact to the end customer. Today, what happens is that with the 3D printing, you are printing your product in the same country. This, if we think about it, it's a change in the supply chain, but it will put more pressure on the last mile delivery. So we need companies to do this last mile. The numbers actually and the expectations for this are significant on the impact on supply chain, with almost a third of the air freight and sea freight shipments to be disrupted by 3D printing, and fourth of the land freight shipments to be disrupted by it. And I will share with you specific examples of what we as a logistics company are doing to capitalize on the last mile delivery, so we are ready for this change when it happens. Driverless cars. Google today have their driverless cars on the street, so they are there. And these cars are going to be delivering packages, not only people. So it's going to be a disruption for the supply chain. It's going to be first a disruption for the cars industry, where we actually will be looking at cars as apps on wheels. Just a few months ago, I read about a fleet of trucks in Western Europe doing a trip of I think a week-long trip in Western Europe, totally autonomous. So these are there. Now, if you think these things are still far away, they're happening somewhere else in the world, you are mistaken. These things will come here soon. It's a global marketplace, and we are part of the ecosystem, so it's going to impact us and soon, and we have to do something about it. So as a logistics company, these are some of the things we are working on today that I will share with you. Sharing economy, mobile apps, big data, cross-border e-commerce, and startups. Sharing economy. The most famous example of this one is Uber. Basically, sharing economy is two entities, whether corporation or individual, that are servicing each other in their idle time. The market expectations for this is that 8 out of 10 Americans will join this type of economy by next year, and with revenues up to over 300 million by 2025. Uber, they launched a service, Uber Rush. They are delivering packages, so it's not only people. And this is what Mr. Ahmed Fernandez mentioned in the morning. The Uber disrupting the supply chain. How do you deal with it? So what have we done? We are basically Uberizing our services. So in addition to the fleet and the employees that we have, the drivers, the full-time employees, we are also tapping into the crowd. So for example, somebody on his way to work can register himself to through the Arabic app to pick up a shipment and take it with him on his way to work or pick up a shipment or deliver. We started this with our employees also. So anybody on his way to work can just, or on his way home, can take a package to deliver. The impact of this, how will this affect us, is we are changing from a fixed cost model to a variable one. So in the fixed cost model, we used to have the couriers or the drivers, a certain number of them, and then the business might come or it might not. Or you might, miss the peak, for example, the demand. With the variable cost model, we are offloading part of the demand to the crowd. And then we pay per successful delivery. So it's variable cost, and it relieves the pressure on our operation. The process of this is very easy, the process of onboarding couriers, and it's all enabled through mobile apps. So you just have to register on the mobile app. It requires certain information like the driver license or whatever. You get the short training, and then you can be delivering packages for. Mobile apps, everybody mentioned mobile apps. Everything is turning into an app now, the Pharma, the GSM. So in addition to this courier app, we also have an app for the customer. Because with all this digitization and pressures from the giants like Amazon, customer expectations have really changed. So it's not enough today to do tracking online, for example. The customer wants to track on his mobile, and he wants live tracking. So, for example, you are expecting a shipment today, and you want to inquire where it is. You call RMX, the call center will call the driver to inquire about the shipment, and then you go back and explain to the customer. Today, that's no longer necessary. So you, as a customer, can communicate directly with the driver through the mobile app and inquire about the shipment. All this while doing live tracking over GPS map on your mobile. Of course, there are a lot of other features which come from the customer's high expectations because they are now enabled through technology. Like, for example, scheduling deliveries to a preferred address. So you're sitting in your office or at your friend's house, and you want your package to be delivered to that specific location. You can specify it, you can pin your location on your mobile and specify the time period when you are there and you get your shipments delivered. That's the expectation today. And that's how we are using the technology and the mobile apps to meet the customers' increasing expectations. Of course, customers expect to have different payment methods, so you can do online payments, cash delivery. They want easy sign-in, and nobody wants to remember a password. And of course, rating. Somebody also mentioned the rating. So the restaurant example. Customers now are looking at the rating of a service or a place rather than depending on the brand itself. So rating is happening on the spot as you receive your package, and you can do it directly on your mobile. We are rating by Arabic smiles because we think we are delivering happiness. Big data, or what we call data science, there is a huge amount of information being generated every day. The number is 1.7 megabytes of information every second for every human vital resource. That's really a huge amount of data. And what are we doing with this? Today there are data scientists, and I think in the future organization will have a team of data scientists, just like they have an IT team or a quality team, to mine this data and do data analytics, to make use of it and do better decision making and transform our operations into what we call predictive operations. Big data is really all about prediction. The first industry who made use of this is actually the e-commerce industry. So when you go to Amazon today to buy something, it will know which products you might want to buy. It will display products by the price range that you usually buy at. It will know what is your preferred payment method, and your address, so many other information. Basically have a digital footprint using big data. What we are doing at RMX, we have a team of data scientists. We have the hardware and the software, which is now available due to these technologies. And we look into the huge amount of data that we collect every day. We reach 18 million companies. That's information in our database. So with big data today, we will be able to profile each and every consignment. So we would know who likes to pay by credit card, who likes to pay by cash, who does not have change maybe. So many other applications. Maybe customers who regularly reject shipments. You know, in this region of the world, people still prefer to buy to pay for their e-commerce shipments by cash, not by credit card. So there's a big number of rejections. So when you go and deliver a shipment, the customer might not accept to pay for it and receive it. So with this data, we have a lot of visibility, and we know how to plan our operations for these cases. We can also here share this information with the commerce sites. So for example, Namshi or Souq.com, so that they would themselves know and understand their customer, and maybe customize the service per customer. So somebody who always rejects a COD shipment might, for example, next time he logs in, he might be allowed only credit card pay. The thing is, we have with this more visibility and planning and prediction for our services. Predicting another use case is predicting the delivery time frame and the delivery address. So, for example, you go today to deliver a shipment, especially the B2C shipment, and the customer is not at home. So the driver has to go back to the warehouse, and the call center will call the customer again to schedule a delivery and so on. That puts a lot of pressure on the courier, on the operation, on the call center. So imagine with this big data, we can, to a good trust level, predict the delivery address of your preference and the delivery time frame that you prepare based on your history. That will raise the percentage of successful deliveries, of course, less cost and less headaches. All that was not available before these technologies and the big data came into place. Another very important use case is plan for peak time. So we can, in a certain country, for a certain product, predict the peak times and volumes, and so be able to plan for the resources of the car, the airlines in advance. These are just three examples, but there are so many other use cases that we can generate using the big data. For example, there's something we call churn rate. So the possibility of a customer leaving us within a specific time frame. I mean, it's endless. How long a shipment would stay in customs for. So this is a new digital trend that is coming up and will really affect the way we do the supply chain. Cross-border e-commerce. The big giants, the e-commerce sites today, like Amazon, they want to come to the Middle East, for example, for cross-border e-commerce. The market estimations for this is $1 trillion by 2020, $1 trillion with 900 million estimated shoppers. So this is huge. Actually, this is competition to the offline stores. People now prefer the online store. What's our role in this? Now, for the supply chain to be complete, you need to have the proper payment method. And people here in this region, they still don't like to use their credit card to shop online. So what we have done, for example, is we have partnered with Amazon to ship their items on cash on delivery basis into the Middle East. So if you are today in Dubai and you want to buy something on Amazon, you don't have to pay by your credit card. You can pay in cash when you receive the shipment for, I think, value up to $1,000. So this is another example of a trend that's happening in the supply chain and how we as a logistics company are getting on board with this trend. The last one is startups. Every day we hear about new startups coming up. The cost of doing business is at a record low. These people have the brains, the money, the technology, and the startups actually, a lot of them impact the supply chain. You can find startups in all industries, and really supply chain is one of them. So what do we do with these startups? We cannot really stay indifferent to the news that we are hearing every day, like a 3-month-old startup being acquired for $1 billion. Just to put things into perspective, this is just an example of one part of the supply chain, which is the warehousing part. The number of startups that are affecting this part, and I'm sure you will find similar ones that are affecting other parts of the supply chain. So there are mentioned software, robots, wearables, and some of these are in millions or hundreds of millions valuation today. So we're not talking about startups that are just coming up. So what do? We either sit and watch, or we work with these startups. So what we are doing is we are investing and partnering with these startups to help us scale our services through them. And I'll share with you some examples of these startups. This is one interesting startup called What3Words. They are in the business of addressing the world. So what they have done is that they took the whole globe and they divided it into 3 by 3 meter squares, and gave each square three words, random words, but they are predefined. So you would know that this 3 by 3 square has. So imagine instead of going to GPS to enter an address, the area, the street name, the building number, you just have to write 3 words, like, I don't know, table, chair, white, and that's it. This basically solves the address challenge. You can go to any country now without the address, you just need 3 letters, 3 words. And when this is integrated with all with the government, for example, with the e-commerce site, this is how the addresses will Other startups, we have Grab. It's a food delivery company in India. And due to the nature of their business, for example, they have idle time during, I don't know, maybe from 3 to 7. So what do? So we are using or buying their idle time to deliver Arabic packages, using their fleet and their people. This way we can offload some of our volume into a valuable model or a transfer. Shopify, also another startup in Brazil, where we are utilizing their idle time to deliver packages. And this way we scale through them. We go into South America through a startup such as. And I will end by commenting on something Mr. Hernandez said in the morning, what came out, is what do we do with all these technologies that are emerging, the voice over IP versus the setup that they have and the licenses that they are paying for, or the infrastructure a logistics company have invested in. My opinion, we have to get on board with this thing. We have to accept that it is happening, and we have to, what we call, cannibalize ourselves. Because there are a lot of success stories, but there are also a lot of failure stories for companies who did not see this change, or they saw it, but they chose not to react. So basically, what we need to do is really to embrace the change, have to challenge everything that we know to be true. Thank you.
Techno Group, which is a group of 10 specialized companies incorporated in Jordan, UAE, KSA, Egypt, and Hong Kong, active in industrial, engineering, and contracting business, executing major and mega projects. And Jamil Nabil will be sharing with us an eye-opening presentation about the future of energy.
Good afternoon to all of you. I would like first of all to thank you for having me here. I actually witnessed the foundation, the development of InCube since the beginning. I'm very proud to see InCube the way it is right now. To me, it's actually an example of how the modern new Middle East enterprises should be in this respect. Now, my presentation at the beginning was given the name energy, and actually I'll be focusing on energy, contrary to everything that was mentioned during this morning. But I opted to take even a broader name for it, about the changing economy. And change actually, change is normal. The world has always been changing, but it is the rate of change that it makes the difference. The rate right now is really exponential. Now, again, on contrary to the previous presentations, I was not talking about my presentation here, although the whole thing here is a part of a corporate strategy for our group that was done for the year 2016 to 18. In the past, we used to do 5-year strategies. Nowadays, it is really impossible to focus on 3 years. And in this strategy, as you all know, we have to go through a long procedure of things, starting with fiscal studies and analysis and visions and mission and all of that. I would only talk about FISTEL, which stands for studying the environment in terms of political, economic, environmental, legal, but I'll put the stress here about the economical and technical aspects. Now, all the information that you get to see here comes from credible sources. So these are the references for all of the presentation. And you can see that comes from banks, institutions, companies, universities, which are really credible. So, you know, nowadays it's really hard to get credible information, but I assure you that all of that comes from those sources. And I want to say here that this is not a political presentation, although there is a huge link between politics and economy in this respect. And this is not meant to be a pessimistic nor optimistic one, but sometimes you can draw your conclusions out of that. Now, to start with, I would like to take some quotes from a recent editorial from the Deutsche Bank and the IMF. This is as recent as the 9th of this month, like two weeks ago. And here, please note that normally banks are really conservative, but we businessmen are normally adventurous. So we have to take this in consideration, but with caution. Now, what they're saying here is that the current economic era is coming to an end. And over the last 30 years, things is going to change right now. We have witnessed in the last 30 years different things because of the emerging economies. I mean, China entering into the global economy and the collapse of the Soviet